Most people who feel stuck aren't stuck because they're doing nothing. They're stuck because they're doing the wrong things consistently. And before we go any further, let's define what stuck actually means in practice. Most of us want the same basic things. We want to feel okay in our own lives. We want growth. We want freedom. We want to feel like our efforts actually lead somewhere. But instead, a lot of people find themselves in the same situations, dealing with the same problems, having the same conversations year after year. And that doesn't mean that you're failing. It doesn't even mean that the problems are your fault, but it does mean something important. It means effort alone isn't the issue. And it means that without understanding what you're actually stuck inside of, awareness can feel more frustrating than freeing. Think about it. You're not unaware. You're not careless, you're not unmotivated, you're smart, thoughtful, caring, and empathetic, and yet the same challenges keep showing up. You put real effort into your work, into your family, into being a decent, responsible person. And still, when you step back and you look at your life, a quiet question starts to form. Am I actually fulfilled? And for most of us, the uncomfortable truth is this. The only things we truly control are ourselves and the environments that we place ourselves in. And from there, one of two things happens. Either who you are is aligned with that environment, or you slowly start changing yourself to fit it. And when you care deeply, but the environment doesn't respond in kind, something breaks. You keep showing up, you keep trying, but nothing really changes. And over time, you realize your effort isn't building towards an end state that actually supports your values. So you pull back, you disengage, or you escape to find another job, another role, another situation, only to see the same patterns waiting for you there. And eventually the thought creeps in, what's the point? And this is where people get it wrong. We're told the problems is effort, or discipline, or some personal flaw that you need fixing. But in reality, a lot of people are struggling inside environments built on systems and incentives that are largely indifferent to their needs, their values, and their well-being. And once you start to see that, something unexpected happens. It doesn't feel empowering, it feels demotivating. Because think about it, if you know your efforts mostly benefit the group, the organization, or the system, but very little flows back to you, that drains you. If you try to improve something that's clearly broken and people actively resist you because change threatens their comfort or their status, it doesn't feel frustrating. It feels existential. And that's usually when the thought shows up, if I can see this, how can everyone else? And the uncomfortable truth is this. Most of us aren't wired to question systems. We're wired to adapt to them, to survive inside them, not to redesign them. So when you see the misalignment, it can feel isolating. That's where the numbness starts. That's where things begin to feel pointless. Not because you don't care, but because caring stops being rewarded. And over time, that isolation can start to feel like the world is quietly working against you. Most advice assumes stable systems, rational incentives, and supportive environments. And for most people, those things simply don't exist. And before we talk about solutions, we have to acknowledge how deeply conditioned we are to believe otherwise. We're taught that the system around us are functional, that incentives are fair, and that environments we're in are meant to support us if we just try hard enough. But systems don't exist to support individuals. They exist to preserve themselves. And you can see this clearly in biology. If the body is under threat, it protects vital organs first, not limbs, because a body can survive without an arm, but it can't survive without a heart. Human systems work in the same way. Whenever there's an environment, there's a power structure, and that structure will organize itself to continue to exist. And over time, people who reinforce it get rewarded, people who don't interfere get ignored, and people who threaten it, even with good intentions, often get pushed out. Not because anyone's evil, but because systems, like organisms, are built to survive. And that same logic applies to incentives. We're told we're paid what we're worth, that if we work hard and we do the right things, that we'll be rewarded. But over time, you start to notice something uncomfortable. The definition of hard work and the definition of doing the right thing are set by whatever keeps the system stable and not what helps you thrive. So effort slowly turns into self-sacrifice. You give more time, more energy, more of yourself, and eventually the question becomes, how much of myself am I willing to trade for incentives that may never actually fulfill me? And finally, there's the idea of supportive environments. You probably tried to explain your needs to your boss, your partner, your friends, but everyone around you is already exhausted, already stretched, already trying to survive inside those same pressures. So support becomes limited, not because people don't care, but because they don't have much left to give, which leaves a lot of people in the same place, trying to hold themselves together inside systems that require sacrifice, while being told that enduring it is simply the responsible thing to do. So if the advice we've been given is only half true, then responsibility has to be reframed, not as try harder, but as where you place your effort. And that starts internally. It means getting honest about what actually creates fulfillment for you, not what sounds impressive, not what keeps the system stable. But what generally matters and where your energy is both accessible and appreciated. Because the same effort can produce completely different outcomes depending on the environment that it's placed in. You can take the same intelligence, the same care, the same work ethic, and put it in an environment that drains you, or one that compounds what you give. Think about exercise. When you spend an hour lifting weights or doing cardio, the feedback loop is clear. You burn calories, you build strength, and over time those results show up in your body. Not because you're morally better, but because the environment responds predictably to those efforts. Healthy environments should work the same way. Effort leads to growth, contribution leads to reciprocity, and when that feedback loop doesn't exist, no amount of discipline make it sustainable. So the work isn't trying harder, it's reevaluating what your effort actually creates. It's re-examining the environments you're in, what they enable you to do, and what in return it exchanges. It's setting boundaries, not out of selfishness, but out of functionality. The same way any system protects itself, what allows it to survive. And then allocating your finite energy towards places where it can actually compound. This isn't about escaping responsibility, it's about placing responsibility where it actually works. On that note, guys, appreciate you, and I'll talk to you all later.